What would happen if Shaq was in the NBA today? The twist is though is that we're going to be putting him on the worst NBA team, and in my opinion the worst team if everybody is healthy is the Brooklyn Nets. I know when we're like the settings are probably showing the Pacers in last and like the Kings are in last, but let's be real here, bro. If Shaq was in this lineup right here, come on now, Russ, Zach LaVine, DeMar, Keegan Murray, and Shaq with Sabonis off the bench. Or imagine Tyrese Halliburton having Shaq, Pascal Siakam, like, come on now, bro. It only makes sense that prime Shaq is now on the Nets. Look at Shaq though, 7'1", 325. He'll have MPJ for spacing, Igor Diamond 6'8", so he can do a little bit of playmaking here and there. Besides that, the team doesn't really look that much well. But the goal about in this video is to try and get Shaq a ring. So let's see what happens. The season's about to start. With that being said, let's see how well prime Shaq does in the modern NBA. As you can see, we started off pretty hot, but as the games kept on going on, we kept on losing a little bit, winning a little bit, to where once we got into December, we were actually sitting at the number 5 seed, being 13-7. Our conference was pretty stacked at the time. We had the Harden Cavs sitting at number 1, the Detroit Pistons at number 2, the Knicks at 3, and the healthy Pacers at the 4, all of them making good cases. But Shaq right now was averaging 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks at this point. So he was playing pretty well, but his supporting cast, however, was playing a bit abysmal. After the in-season tournament ended, we ended up going on a little streak right here when thinking it was about to back, but we ended up taking a huge L to the Timberwolves, which lets us having 2 wins once again. As the games kept on going on and on, I was noticing Shaq was playing great, but his supporting cast wasn't doing too well. And the thing is, if we're actually trying to win a ring with Shaq, then he might need a little bit of help. Speaking of help, you guys can help me out a lot by hitting the subscribe button. So by this time, as us being the 4th seed and almost a trade deadline coming up, I think it was about time for us to actually phone a friend. Ended up going into our trade finder and trying to see what trades we can make. I originally was trying to see if I could get another superstar player next to Shaq, but due to the lack of talent on Brooklyn, we couldn't even find a superstar to trade for. Not a single one of these teams at all were trying to give us the time of day. They were all just saying no. Until I finally found a trade that pleased me. Ladies and gentlemen, Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, Toumani Camara, all will now be on the Brooklyn Nets. But we pushed the limit even more, sending Nicholas Claxton, Drake Powell, and Terrence Mann to the Knicks, so we can get back OG Anunoby, Ariel Hukporti, and Mitchell Robinson. They wanted us to throw in Josh Minott and a first-round pick, which at first made me questionable, but then they added Jose Alvarado to it too, so I was like, why the hell not? And this last trade right here is probably going to be putting the nail in the coffin, because we're sending Igor Diamond and Ochai Agbaji to the Boston Celtics, and in return we get Luka Garza and Derek White. We ended up simming all the way up until the All-Star break, and we ended up only losing 1 game since then. As the year kept on going on, we kept on dominating and dominating and dominating and dominating even more. But when it was all said and done, we ended up being the number 1 seed with 63 wins. Shaq went on to winning MVP, averaging 29 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. He also had an All-NBA first-team appearance as well, and was on for his defensive team. Pistons were trailing behind us with 60 wins, and the Knicks with 55 wins. Those losses hurt them, but this lineup right here was able to make a huge turnaround. But now we head into the playoffs with us versus the Hawks in round 1. We ended up beating them in game 1, the final score being 108 to 117, with Shaq dropping 32 and 15. We take away game 2 once again with Shaq dropping 38 points, 13 rebounds. The second option, Damian Lillard, dropping 31. And you kind of know where the rest of this goes right here, because we end up sweeping the Atlanta Hawks in round 1, with Shaq averaging 32 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks against that team. We now are headed to Orlando because we're taking on Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner versus Shaq and his army. Where in game 1, we go to Brooklyn and we end up taking it game 1 with Shaq dropping 43 points and 19 rebounds, or finishing of 137 to 116. The series will continue on with us winning once again in game 2. This time around, Shaq didn't play as well, dropping 19 and 10, but Jose Alvarado had an amazing game coming off the bench with Damian Lillard as well starting. Just like last series, you kind of know how it goes, because the Brooklyn Nets end up sweeping the Magic, them going 4-0, with Shaq having 37 and 15 in the elimination game, and as of now he's averaging 34 points, 14 rebounds, 1 steal, and 3 blocks once again. We're 2 series into this playoffs and Shaq has yet to lose a game, so we just gotta keep on seeing how this goes, because we're gonna be having the Battle of New York between the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. Series ends up starting out in Brooklyn, obviously. Shaq and Dame versus Cat and Jalen Brunson. The game goes back and forth, obviously, with both Shaq and his squad going shot for shot with Jalen Brunson and his Knickerbockers. But the Nets end up taking game 1, with Dame and Shaq matching 33 for 33 each. Dame having 33 points and 7 assists, and Shaq having 33 points with 11 rebounds, a block, and a steal. The final score ending 133 to 125. They move on to game 2, but this time around the Knicks actually end up beating them, with the final score being 112 to 100. Shaq still dropped 20 and 12, but this is actually their first loss in this whole entire playoffs, so that's crazy. But now we're heading back to the Garden. When it's all said and done, the Nets end up taking game 3, with Shaq dropping 34 points and 15 rebounds, with the final score being 121 to 114. Game 4 takes place, but this time around, once again, the Knicks having a crazy game, with them actually beating the Brooklyn Nets once again, 120 to 106. Shaq still dropped to 31 points and 18 rebounds, 4 blocks and a steal, but it still just wasn't enough. Game is tied up 2-2, but we finally are headed back to Brooklyn. Shaq definitely has to come out hot this game because right now he is in a pressure mode where he has to win, or else this challenge would have been lost and he will not win his ring. But when it's all said and done, the New York Knicks actually end up beating the Nets by 1 point. Oh my god. Shaq still dropped 20 points and 21 rebounds, but it just was not enough. As of now, things are looking very scary because Shaq did all this work throughout the regular season and the postseason just to lose now to the New York Knicks. Look at what he did to this team in the past. There's just no way that this happens in the modern day. The worst part of going into this 2 now is that we're back in the Garden and Shaq no longer has home advantage. So is he able to overcome getting sent to Cancun with his squad? Jalen Brunson obviously is doing his thing. Josh Hart doing his thing as well with the Knicks. This is obviously a good squad, but Shaq and his squad are not going down without a fight. But in a buzzer beater fashion, Shaq and the Nets end up beating the Knicks by just 1 point in the Garden. With Shaq dropping 42 points and 21 rebounds, 4 steals and a block, and Cat dropped 38 and 10 as well. So they're just going at it right now in New York, and now we're headed into Game 7, a finals appearance on the line. And his team versus Cat, Jalen Brunson, who's going to go home and take it all. Derek White's doing his thing. This game is going to be going back and forth at all times, but in the end, who will be able to win it all? The Brooklyn Nets are just dominating the Knicks right now, beating them 29 to 14. But in the end, in a dominating fashion, the Brooklyn Nets end up taking down the New York Knicks, with Shaq having 24, 14, and 7 blocks in this elimination game, with Derek White and Dame Lillard performing well as well. The West Ant wins West Conference Finals MVP, averaging 32 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. But in the East Coast, Shaq wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP, averaging 31 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially here in the NBA Finals. The first game will take place in Brooklyn, with the Brooklyn Nets going against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We have seen both these teams dominate in both of their respective conferences, but who wants it more, Shaq and his Brooklyn Nets, or Anthony Edwards, his Minnesota Timberwolves? The Timberwolves end up taking game 1, beating the Nets by 1 point, and drops damn near 40 points, but Shaq has 31 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals, and an assist. Obviously, his scoring cuts didn't perform as well, but they still have some time. Game 2, the Minnesota Timberwolves win once again, with Shaq just absolutely playing horribly. I don't even know what happened here. They just dominated the hell out of them. Ant Edwards had 52 points though against them. Hopefully there's a turnaround with the Nets, because I do not want to see Shaq get done like this. Game 3 now, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are now up on them 3-0. This is looking very bad. There has never been a 3-0 comeback before in NBA history. I do not know what's about to happen here, but from the looks of it, it seems like the Timberwolves are going to sweep. Wait a minute. Shaq has 30 points and 21 in Game 4. Is he able to make a 3-0 comeback? They're headed back to Brooklyn this time around. Obviously, they have a little bit of momentum towards their side, even though the Timberwolves are up on them 3-0. But we need to see a big change here, or else it's going to be bye-bye to the Nets once again, similar to their last series against the New York Knicks. The Nets take Game 5 with Shaq having 45 points and 21 rebounds. Just pure dominance. 120 to 102. They're just looking crazy right now. Game 6, they're headed back to Minnesota. Can they take Game 6? Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed a 3-0 comeback, with the Nets winning Game 6 just by 5 points, with Shaq didn't even playing that well, just a whole team round effort all around, everyone just stepping up their part and doing their thing. And now we're once again heading into a Game 7 back in Brooklyn once again. Anthony Edwards can win his first ring here, or will Shaq end up winning his 4th or 5th ring right here? Right now, things are hot between both teams. Anthony Edwards has a lot to prove. Can Shaq prove that he's still got it in the modern era? Who is going to go home and take it all? And after a hard-fought series, ladies and gentlemen, it's looking like the Brooklyn Nets are about to close out this series. Oh, T.O. and Edwards has the ball, dribbling it. Oh, another T.O. once again. Jeremy Grant has the ball. And ladies and gentlemen, dribbling out. And with that being said, your Brooklyn Nets have just won. Hard playoffs coming. They have just officially completed a 3-0 comeback, the only 3-0 comeback in NBA history, with having modern Shaq on their team. So not only was Shaq able to win a championship in the modern era, but he also won Finals MVP, averaging 29 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. But if you guys think that this would happen in real life, comment it down below. Comment your thoughts. With that being said, it's Biabo Ajayo, and I'll see y'all in the next one.